Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we commence with our session, I would like to introduce you to our esteemed panelists. The chairperson, Air Vice Marshal Dr. Arjun Subramaniam, Ati Vishish Seva Medal. The Air Vice Marshal is a retired fighter pilot from the Indian Air Force who has flown MiG-21 and Mirage 2000. He has commanded a MiG-21 squadron and a Su-30 squadron. He has held several operational staff and instructional assignments in the Indian Air Force and is an air power doctrinal expert, having crafted the current Indian Air Force doctrine in 2012. He has been a visiting fellow at Harvard and Oxford universities and a visiting professor at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy and at Ashoka and Jindal universities. He is currently a mentor and academic advisor at the National Defense College and an adjunct faculty member at the Naval War College. He is also the author of 2 books, India's Wars, A Military History of 1947 to 1971, and his latest release, Full Spectrum, India's Wars from 1972 to 2020. Our second panelist is Major General Dhruv C. Katoch, Sena Medal, Vishish Seva Medal, retired. An alumnus of Sherwood College, Nainital, National Defense Academy, and the National Defense College. He was commissioned in the Dogra Regiment in March 1972. A third generation officer, he has a master's degree and a master's philosophy in defense studies from Madras University. He is also a recipient of the Doctor of Philosophy conferred by Indira Gandhi University, Rewari. He has participated in Operation Pawan in Sri Lanka. He was Director of Clause from 2011 to 2014. A prolific writer and commentator on defense and security related issues, he has edited and authored 8 books. Presently, he is Director, India Foundation, and Editor, Salute Magazine, and the Secretary General of the Indian War Veterans Association. Our third panelist is a legend in himself, Major General Ian Cardozo, Ati Vishish Seva Medal, Sena Medal. General Cardozo is an alumnus of St. Xavier's School and College, Mumbai, and National Defense Academy. He was commissioned into the 5th Gurkha Rifles and in June 1958 and was awarded Sena Medal for gallantry on a patrol on the Sino-Indian border in 1959. He is a war veteran of 1962, 1965, and 1971 wars. Wounded at the Battle of Sylhet in Bangladesh, he proved that losing a leg could not come in the way of commanding troops. And he went on to command an infantry division and retired as Chief of Staff of a corps in the Northeast. He is presently Vice President of the War Wounded Foundation and Chairman of the Board of Management of the Center for Armed Forces Historical Research. He has authored and edited various books on military history and also penned short stories and poems on wars. Our next panelist is from Bangladesh, Lieutenant Colonel Qazi Sajjad Ali Zahir, Bir Pratik and Swadhinta Padak. Colonel Zahir was an officer in 14th Para Brigade in Sialkot when the Liberation War of 1971 broke out, following which he defected from Pakistan Army, crossing the international border, and joined the Liberation War as a leader of the Mukti Bahini in Sector 4, including Sylhet. He has authored 51 books and published with clause 2 volumes of 1971 Liberation War. He has researched, documented, and wrote citations of Friends of Bangladesh in 9 phases, that is, Indian martyrs and war veterans of the 1971 war. Our next panelist is Major General AJS Sandhu, Vishish Seva Medal. General Sandhu was commissioned in artillery in June 1967 and is a 3rd generation officer. He served in Punjab sector in 1971 war and has also contributed operationally to Siachen operations and Operational Vijay. He retires as Additional Director General Artillery. He has a Master's of Philosophy in Defense and Strategic Studies from University of Madras and has authored 2 books, Battleground Chum, Indo-Pakistan War of 1971, published last year, and 5 Great Artillery Battles, which is under publication. Our ultimate panelist from Bangladesh is Ambassador Shamsher M. Chaudhry Bir Bikram. Ambassador Chaudhry was commissioned in the 1st East Bengal Regiment. For gallantry during the 1971 war, he was awarded Bir Bikram. And in 1974, he was transferred to the Foreign Service, where he eventually served as the Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh and ambassador to various countries, including United States. He has also served as a United Nations Under Secretary General in United Nations International Civil Service Commission up to 2012. He has represented Bangladesh at various international forums, including South Asia Association for Regional Cooperation and Organization of Islamic Countries. We are indeed honored to have such an esteemed panel to share with us their views. I now request the chairperson to kindly proceed with the session.
Thank you, Colonel Bajwa, for that introduction of speakers. General Saini, Director Claus, esteemed fellow panelists and distinguished veterans with extensive combat experience, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute honor, and I'm humbled to be chairing this particular session on a momentous event of the 20th century, and as General Saini called it, a game-changing event in South Asia, the 1971 liberation of Bangladesh and its associated 2-front war that resulted in a spectacular victory for India's armed forces in December 1971. Now, this is a celebratory event, but at the same time, it is also a moment to reflect, and a moment to reflect on many of the positives that emerged from the 1971 conflict, as well as a moment to reflect on the tremendous contribution of the Mukti Fauj or the Mukti Bahini to the ultimate political outcome that resulted from the 1971 conflict. Now, both General Saini and General Muniruz-Zaman have laid out the landscape beautifully. And therefore, I think it would be futile for me to continue on that path. And therefore, over the next 7 to 8 minutes, I thought I'd put on my historian's hat and share some perspectives with you about the 1971 war through some photographs from my collection that feature in my book, India's Wars. And I think what I will try and do is to attach a short little story and an event with each one of those photographs. And by the end of that, you would have an absolute foundation to listen to the spectacular speakers that will follow me about how actually the war transpired and what its consequences were. May I have the presentation, please?
The light has been given. Can you share, sir?
Yeah. Can you see the presentation now?
Got it, sir.
Okay. Now, can you see the
request to share, sir?
Okay, just a moment. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Right.
Okay. So the first photograph that I want to present to you is a photograph of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi sharing a happy moment with her 3 chiefs. General Manekshaw from left to right, General Manekshaw, Admiral Nanda, and Air Chief Marshal Lal. Now this photograph reflects the cooperation, the spirit of give and take, and the deep understanding that the political establishment had of the military, and a clear transmission of political outcomes that were desired and which were achieved through military means. Now, as was mentioned earlier in a presentation, that there was immense pressure on the Indian Army, particularly to go into battle in March or April. And it is to the testimony of its chief, General Manekshaw, and the support that he got from his fellow chiefs, to impress upon Prime Minister Indira Gandhi that it was better to be a bit cautious, build up combat capability, and deal a final blow 6 to 7 months down the line, which would result in a short victory. The passes would close, which precluded any Chinese entry into the battle. The monsoons would have ended, which would have precluded the Indian Army from getting bogged down. And whatever gaps in combat capability existed could be filled up in 6 months. And that is what exactly was done, with implicit mutual faith and trust between the political establishment and the military leadership. Only re-emphasizes one of the lessons brought out by both General Saini and General Muniz Rahman. Now, that was not the only fallout of this momentous decision to fight the battles in December and not in March or April. Can any one of you imagine that if the Indian Army had gone into Bangladesh in March or April, there would have been no effective and efficient Mukti Bahini to act as their eyes and ears to chip and charge away at the Pakistani military in Bangladesh, reducing their morale and contributing significantly to the ultimate outcome. So that's the next photograph. This is an absolutely iconic photograph of a young Mukti Bahini fighter with a Sten gun being trained. Now, this reflects the spirit of the Mukti Bahini, which started off as the Mukti Fauj, comprised of officers and men from the East Bengal Rifles, from the erstwhile Pakistan Air Force and the Pakistan Navy, primarily comprising of submariners who defected, and formed a very, very effective force that acted as the eyes and ears of the Indian Army right from November 1971 onwards. The impact of the various Mukti Bahini forces inside Bangladesh or inside erstwhile East Pakistan is incalculable or is immeasurable. The kind of situational awareness that they provided the Indian Army allowed the Indian Army actually to converge onto Dhaka from 3 different directions, something that would have not been possible had the Mukti Bahini not been operationally well prepared by December. Sons of the soil. A large number of Mukti Bahini fighters were not trained soldiers. They enrolled for a cause, willing to lay down their lives. And this is a photograph that reflects that spirit. And that spirit that still endures today and has formed the bedrock of the Bangladeshi armed forces. Now, any amount of spirit and any amount of strategic acumen and understanding is not enough unless it is accompanied with excellent operational thought and operational execution. General Sam Manekshaw provided inspirational leadership both on the Western and the Eastern front. And that is reflective of his constant engaging with leadership and soldiers and the Mukti Bahini at every level. These 2 photographs show him in conversation with commanders and troops on the Western front. But there were similar photographs also when he visited the Eastern front. But ultimately in the Eastern front, what actually counted was this man, Lieutenant General Sagat Singh. And he actually delivered the final blow as the corps commander of 4 corps, carrying out operations not envisaged earlier and not executed before by the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. Contributing equally to the joint operation that led to the absolute collapse of the Pakistan Army in Bangladesh were the Indian Navy and the Indian Air Force. This is a photograph of the INS Vikrant with its onboard complement of Alizés and Seahawks, and they exerted a terrific amount of pressure on Chittagong, on Khulna, on Chalna, and the kind of maritime trade, effectively executing a maritime blockade and thereby choking any kind of supplies that caused great amount of psychological collapse within the Pakistan Army. How can you forget the Indian Air Force? This is a photograph of a mission that is being planned for one of the strike missions, and the Indian Air Force started operating over Bangladesh well before actual operations started in early December. And the final icing on the cake was a joint operation launched by the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, which can be seen in the spectacular photograph of the Tangel drop. And what this operation did was to completely cause a psychological collapse of the Pakistani armed forces. 93,000 able-bodied troops surrendered without a fight. And one of the reasons for that was this calibrated and coordinated assault on Dhaka. Now, this is a photograph that tells another story. It tells a story of confident operational execution on the ground. You can see a level of absolute confidence on the face of these brigadiers on the road to Dhaka. Brigadier Clare, Brigadier Sant Singh, who was an active Mukti Bahini trainer, and Brigadier Clare, Major General Clare. So, and finally, the end of the 1971 war saw the emergence of a future leader. And that future leader is in your picture, Sheikh Hasina, who was freed after being held for months in house arrest outside Dhaka. And standing with her is, an Indian Army major who is now as good as a son of the soil in Bangladesh. So, with these glimpses of photographs for you, I would like to conclude my inaugural, or rather my address from the chair, to talk about the impact of 1971 on not only the trajectory of strategic events, but also forging close relationships between India and Bangladesh. And my biggest takeaway from these photographs is that camaraderie, synergy, and jointmanship, not only between the services, but between the Mukti Bahini and the Indian Army, actually allowed us to deliver the final blow in Dhaka and precipitate the creation of a new state, which today is forging ahead when it comes to its place in South Asia and the Global Committee of Nations. Now, with this, I would like to now invite the first speaker of our session, General Dhruv Katoch, who would offer you an environmental scan before the 1971 war actually erupted. General Katoch, over to you, sir.